Hi everybody, welcome back to Speaking of Cocktails. I'm David. We have a very special episode for you today, and we are on location. Today we are in Wrigleyville, Chicago, Illinois, and we are at Mordecai and Hush Money. Mordecai is one of my favorite places to drink in Chicago, if not my absolute favorite. And today my guest is Kris Peterson. He's the general manager of Mordecai as well as a spirits archivist. Now Kris is an amazing bartender and he knows more about liquor and spirits than anybody I know personally. Today we're going to be talking about the golden ratios for seasonal dessert cocktails updated for the modern palate.
My name's Kris Peterson, Spirits Archivist and General Manager at Mordecai. We're gonna mix up a few of my favorite dessert cocktails that are either ice cream or cream based, but we're gonna update the ratios for a modern palate and see if we can find some commonality so you can mix and match at home. We're gonna start with my favorite one, the Pink Squirrel, and lead off with a 1/4 ounce of Campari. Then we're gonna do a full ounce of heavy whipping cream. Full ounce of Creme De Cacao. Full ounce of Creme De Noyaux. Then we're gonna hit this with a dry shake to add some extra aeration and give some nice body to the cocktail. We'll finish it off with a wet shake to get the dilution and chill right. And finally, we're gonna microplane a little nutmeg on top. And that's our Pink Squirrel. Another one of my favorite holiday dessert cocktails, one's a little bit sentimental for me, is a Grasshopper. Again, we're gonna update this for a modern palate and use a new golden ratio format that you can plug and play at home with different liqueurs and Amaro. Starting off, we're gonna use a 1/4 ounce of Fernet-Branca, 1 ounce of heavy whipping cream, 1 ounce of Creme De Cacao, and 1 ounce of Creme De Menthe. Again, we're gonna start with a dry shake to increase the body. And then we're gonna move on to a wet shake to ensure the proper dilution and temperature. Finally, we'll top this with a fresh crown of mint. You've got a Grasshopper.
All right, everybody, so we're here with Kris, and Kris, thank you so much for having me back to Mordecai here. It's great to be here. I haven't been here in a minute.
Well, it's good to have you back. We always got to nerd out about spirits together, and you were always really invested in the cocktail program here, which, it's kind of fuels the creativity when things are going back and forth like that.
Yeah, well, I love this idea that we're doing today, trying to find the right ratio, something modern for the dessert cocktail, right? These kind of heavy cream-based things that sometimes will turn people off thinking alcohol and milk. If you do it well, which is, I think, hopefully what we've done today, it can turn out really, really great.
I like the idea of dessert cocktails, kind of like I like the idea of a milkshake more than drinking a milkshake, right? I always want one and then you drink it and you're like, why did I drink that? And I don't have a big sweet tooth, but I like the idea of having a cocktail for dessert every once in a while. I like to have Amaro after dinner to kind of settle the stomach and have something that's bittersweet. But I wondered what would happen if we took some of these classic ice cream or cream-based cocktails and if we could design a ratio that would land better for the modern palate. So the first one, we want to start with the Pink Squirrel.
Yeah, let's do the Pink Squirrel. Cheers.
Cheers. Taste it, we'll talk about it.
Yeah. Wow. That is fantastic. The cream doesn't really overpower everything. That is really, really good.
Right, it's surprisingly good, especially when you've had dessert cocktails that might lean a little too heavy, either into the sugar or to the cream. The real key here is going to be the addition of Amaro into these cocktails. So the Pink Squirrel, we're adding just a 1/4 ounce of Campari. Depending on how intense the bitterness is on the Amaro, you can go a 1/4 ounce or a 1/2 ounce, just kind of balance that sugar-bitter ratio. But other than that, you can play with the first 2 ounces with different liqueurs. So here we're using Creme De Noyaux, so think like an amaretto, but a little bit sweeter. We're using a Creme De Cacao, so you have 2 different liqueurs at an ounce increment. and an ounce of cream. So you're equal, 1 ounce, 1 ounce, 1 ounce, and then you're gonna hit that 1/4 ounce of Campari just to clean it up at the end, give it some bitterness, also add to the color.
I'm really surprised at how well the bitterness actually plays with the cream. Usually it's such a one-note kind of cocktail with the dessert stuff, but that actually gives it some complexity. That makes it feel like a cocktail rather than a boozy milkshake, as you said. That's a different experience.
Well, let's hop over to the Grasshopper too, so that we can kind of side by side compare. We're gonna follow the same ratios, right? It's a 1/4 ounce of Fernet-Branca, so that's gonna be the bittering agent that pops in. We're gonna do an ounce of Creme De Cacao, and then we're gonna do an ounce of Creme De Menthe, ounce of cream. So exact same ratios on these, we're just plugging and playing different liqueurs and different Amaro.
Yeah, cheers.
Cheers.
That's the best Grasshopper I've ever had.
You come in, we'll do a vintage one for you.
Usually these are so overly sweet, overly creamy. And again, that gives it some complexity to it. And the Fernet already with that mintiness, but it's not overly present here because it kind of chills out.
Fernet-Branca for me always plays really low and dry on the palate. It's really long. And that cream, that body that you're getting there, and also then the Creme De Menthe, some of those top notes, it's just, it fills out. And so you've got a full profile. It's a little sentimental for me because my dad growing up would, whether he put it in the blender or not, he loved pouring the neon green Creme De Menthe over ice cream. So sometimes it was a Grasshopper in a bowl, sometimes it was Grasshopper in a blender, but he loved the idea of like ice cream, liqueur, and he was never a big drinker, but you know, he liked the dessert touch. This fits my palate a little bit more than heavy ice cream and neon green.
I always think of Grasshoppers as just kind of like a big, you know, almost like a punch bowl cocktail. Yep. I'm glad that we have the little snack sizes here today. You can taste the booze. It's not overly boozy, but you can definitely tell it's there, but kind of throws you off because it's also a milkshake or a dessert.
In addition to these two, one recipe that I really enjoy too is playing with the Golden Cadillac in those ratios. So you just do an ounce of Galliano, ounce of Creme De Cacao, ounce of heavy cream, between a 1/4 and a 1/2 ounce, depending on where your palate is, of Bekarovka, a Czech bitter that's going to be really baking spice heavy. It's another one. So those are three that are tried and true, but I've found that at home, looking at that liqueur, what are the flavors in the liqueur? And we've got this wide range of Amaro available now in the United States. And so which Amaro is going to pair best with the liqueur that you're popping in?
The fact that this is the same ratios, same build basically, and those are completely different. You know, very, very different. But like you said, you know, having that bittering agent is there, having that cream there, and it really does round everything out in a really, really nice way that is surprising that golden ratio that we've been talking about really, really carries over.
1, 1, 1/4. If you really have a bitter palate, you can toss a 1/2 in there. Or if the Amaro is a medium or lighter style, you can go up to a 1/2 and get a little more body and sugar. But I really like the 1, 1/4.
Well, thanks again, everybody, for watching. Thank you, Kris, for having me back to Mordecai here, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks.
I hate to use this word for Fernet because I love Fernet. Don't get me wrong, I love Fernet. Medicinal, that medicine-y kind of cough syrup kind of thing.